Hello everybody, it's Max McAllister back with another episode of Cycle with Max, and today we're doing another video in my series of how to be a better road cyclist and ride with groups. This one will be kind of video number 3 in that series. Today we're going to talk about a roadside repair kit, or a little emergency kit, also called a spares kit. So unless you happen to be an elite pro, in which case you're not watching this video, you don't get to just throw your hand up when you get a flat tire and have the team car pull up and the mechanic run out and change your wheel. So you're going to have to carry things with you that will help you repair your bike on the roadside should you experience some minor mechanical trouble. Obviously, flats being number one. So what are the things I recommend to carry? I've got kind of a dead minimum kit here. Now, there's multiple levels of kits. So if I'm just going to go for a group ride that's an hour and a half or something like that, a short group ride, I'm just carrying the dead minimum kit. In fact, depending on the way I'm planning my ride, or I know my ride's going to go, I'll carry different things on different days. But for the most part, in group riding, you're going to go 60 miles or less. You're probably going to loop in some fashion. The farthest you're ever going to be away from the place where you start is going to be 30 miles or less. So, excuse me, you're pretty safe to have a reasonably sparse kit with just some basic essentials in it that'll get the job done. If you're going to go on a century ride, you're going to want to carry a little bit more stuff, maybe just double down on some of the stuff I'll point out. And again, if you're going to go point to point where you're not coming back to your vehicle, you may want to carry more things. So we'll talk about those real quick. So come on over and let me show you some of the stuff. In your bag, you're going to need to carry, obviously, a spare inner tube. Now, there's a couple of ways to do this, and this seems the silliest and most important thing, but you have to know the correct valve stem length for the wheels on your bicycle. So if you have fancy deep dish carbon wheels and you go out into the bike shop and say, I need a spare tube, they're just going to hand you a basic 48 millimeter tube, and the valve stem won't come up through your rim. So you need to know specifically the valve stem length that you need for your bike. Now, if you just want to be a good Samaritan type guy, you can buy an 80 millimeter valve stem that's really long. It looks ridiculous if you put it in your wheel, but basically anybody who needs a tube and doesn't have one, an 80 millimeter valve stem will get you home for the rest of the day. So if you kind of want to be the universal donor, the universal user, and get a long valve stem. Another way around that is to actually carry a valve extender. I carry this kind of just out of being a good Samaritan. Takes up no space in my toolkit, and I don't even know it's there. But there's a little wrench to tighten it, and we'll do a video on tire changing, and I'll show you how all that stuff works. But you might get an extender and the little tool, and then you could help yourself or help anybody at that point. You need at least 2 CO2 cartridges. 2 is 1 and 1 is none, is a saying in a lot of things. So if you happen to be using your CO2 and screw it up for whatever reason and it goes flat, now you don't have any, now you have to stop somebody or borrow somebody else's gear, and that's kind of a nuisance. So carry 2. Another thing is, when we'll do a tire video on another day. Know your CO2 head, know how it works, practice using it. CO2s are a couple of dollars. Practice using it, practice screwing it together, loosening it up, making it flow, inflate a tire with it, understand how it works. What's going to happen is when you're on the side of the road and you get a flat and the group stops and you have 25 people waiting on you to change your tire and you don't know how to do it, you're going to be nervous and flustered, and if you've not even studied how to use the tools, it's going to be more anxiety and more pressure. So we're going to teach you how to change tires on another day, but just know that it's important to understand your tool, your head. For me, I recommend this super simple one. It's from Specialized. This is the most idiot-proof head in the universe. You can't hardly screw this one up. It has no working parts at all whatsoever. The way it works, there's a little protective ring so that it can't pierce the CO2 and you just remove it, thread it on. When you tighten it all the way, it's going to pierce the CO2, but it's shut off and sealed. You place it on the valve stem and then back it off and it'll start flowing in the air. So this one is super simple, can't break, rust, corrode, rot, fail, get old in your kit. A lot of the stuff in your kit's going to get beat up over time. It's just going to sit on the bag back there and get beat to death. So you need to check it every year and make sure stuff's still in working order. Make sure your tube hasn't dry rotted, that kind of stuff. Things need to be in good working order. So that's a simple CO2 filler. Some people will carry a bike pump. So if there's, some of them will mount to a water bottle cage. I recommend that. I don't recommend putting a pump anywhere on your body. I think it's a bad idea in general to put heavy plastic or metal objects in your jersey pockets. In case you crash, you don't want to jam a bike pump into your spine or into your kidney. You're probably already going to be injured enough. So without adding insult to injury, try and make sure your pump or CO2s are on your bike, not on your body. You'll need a couple tire levers. Once you're experienced at changing tires, one is usually pretty good. Two are going to be required for people that don't have a lot of hand strength, and we'll show you again in a tire video on another day. But carry two again in case you have to help somebody and there's something difficult there. I always fold a small shop towel. You know, most people on their road bikes, they take care of them. They're nice. They're a point of pride. You know, if you have to change your wheel and you get your hands all dirty, the last thing you want to do is get on your nice road bike, smear a bunch of dirt and grease all over your handlebar tape and on your controls or all over your kit. So this is a simple way to wipe up real quick. You'll need a tire boot. These come in a packet of 3 from Park Tool, costs about $2. This is in case you get a cut in your tire. So if you have a cut in your tire, you have to put something solid inside of the tire so a new tube won't blister out and pop. So these are called tire boots. You have to have them. These have a little adhesive on them, so that works pretty good for that. Some people recommend a dollar bill. I keep my money in my wallet. I put tire boots in my bike. This is a little product called a Super Patch from Park Tool. It's basically a little sticker. This works really, really good. It's very effective. What this is for is this is when you're having a really bad day. You've had a flat, you've used your inner tube, and now you get another flat. Okay, so now this is a way to patch one of your now secondary punctured tubes, so you don't have to carry 2 tubes. This helps you fix when you're having a really bad day. You should always carry a master link specific to your chain. So if you had one of these, and again, make sure if you change bikes, if you go from a 10-speed to an 11-speed bike or whatever, you have the appropriate master link for your chain on your bike, okay? Now, you don't have to necessarily have the tools to fix that. Hopefully someone in your group might. We'll talk about that on another day. Your multi-tool, you might not have a chain breaker on your tool and you might not know how to use it, but chances are almost always somebody will carry a chain breaker in a kit. And at least if you have the master link, somebody who's a mechanic with a chain breaker will be able to help you fix your bike and get back on your ride. I like to throw a CR2032 watch battery in my spares kit. This is in case my cadence sensor fails or your heart rate monitor battery or whatever takes a croak. I just like to have one around in case any of my electronic stuff fails. I always carry 3 zip ties. These can be used for a number of things, repairing, holding things together, and in a horrible situation, could be used in a medical emergency to stop bleeding and who knows what. And then another little super secret tip is to carry, this is for mechanical shifting bikes, a piece of a shift cable. You only need about 5 or 6 inches of it with the end soldered so it won't fray. What you use this for, which we'll show in another video, is should your shifter cable break, you can pull this out of your spares kit and use it to rig your derailleur and put your derailleur into a gear that will allow you to ride your bike for the rest of the day or get where you're going. If you break your derailleur cable, your bike will default into the hardest to pedal gear, and it'll be a hell of a ride home if you don't have something like this. So we'll talk about that on another day. Again, a little item that takes up no space. Also super important, the day you buy your bike, go to the parts counter, tell them to order you a spare derailleur hanger for your specific model of bike. Now, your bike shop isn't going to have derailleur hangers for your bike. The reason for that is there's a million derailleur hangers, so don't be mad that they don't have yours in stock. There's so many. So you just need to make sure you go to the parts counter, order 1 or 2 of these, and then take one and put it in your bag. It takes up no space and weighs nothing. If you should crash or get tipped over and bend or break your derailleur hanger, this is so easy to change. It only takes a moment, and then you can get back to on the road. So that's these are kind of the things I'll carry in my bag. I load up all the small stuff in here. One more thing on paper towels while I'm loading this up. If you're riding one of the new style road bikes with tubeless tires, it's very important to carry a paper towel because you are going to get it messy. You have to remove the valve stem, mop the sealant out of your tire if your tire has gone flat, you got cut or whatever, and then install a tube. So you will need a paper towel to accomplish that process. So if you're on tubeless tires, you got to be sure to carry a paper towel with you. So I try, and when I pack my little bag, keep my 2 CO2 canisters on opposite sides of the bag. That way they don't clatter against each other. Nobody wants to listen to the guy right next to the guy whose bike goes click, 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 or is doing this constantly. 50 miles of listening to that, you're going to want to knock the guy off his bike, and because he's driving you insane. All right, tire irons, zip ties in here, and zip it shut. Now, the bag itself, I recommend you get the smallest one possible for what you need to do. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is you just don't want to, why carry weight you don't need? But secondarily, you want your kit to fit as clean and neat on your bike as possible. So having a big giant bag under your bike with a bunch of empty space that you're not using, first of all, it looks terrible. So I'm going to, again, some of my things are just purely going to be about style, never mind function. So if you have a big giant bag here, it rubs on your legs all day. It's a super nuisance, right? And and you don't want something, you want something that'll fit snug, arrow to the bike, and tight. A bag that flops is just a nuisance. It bangs into your legs all day. It looks ridiculous. There are even psychotheorists that say it wastes energy to have weight swinging on your bike. So if you're into micro wattage savings, that might be one for you to consider. But so having a bag that won't interfere with your legs, that's if you come to the back here, that's clean and neat and tight to the bike, that's the way to go. You want it to be tight to itself so nothing rattles. So this is completely quiet, no noise while I pedal, and I don't annoy my fellow riders in the group because I got a big bag full of clanking stuff. The other thing we'll talk about is a multi-tool. You should carry a multi-tool in your bag. There's a couple of ways on this bike here. Specialized has kind of a slick way that they carry a multi-tool on a water bottle cage. So this is a road bike oriented tool here. You do need a multi-tool with you at all times. The one option that's a luxury is to get a tool that's a little bigger that you would carry in your bag that will have a chain breaker on it. And again, we'll talk about that one when we get into, that'll be another video, is how to fix a broken chain on another day. All right, so there's your roadside spares kit. If you were going on a longer ride, a little bigger bag, some of them are expandable. You know, things you might consider on a longer ride are packets of sunscreen. You know, they have packeted sunscreen instead of cans or jars. A proper cycling rain jacket that will fold into a small ball that can fit in there. You could also buy just one of these $2 or $3 rain ponchos for emergencies that'll stick down in there. That's not too big of a deal. Some people will also carry a razor blade still in the cardboard, or even a small pocket knife as well to help with tools and emergencies. And you can also put a little money in there. Or, you know, some people will tend to carry their money in their jersey, but if you want, you can throw a $20 bill in there, and so it's always there, and you kind of know it's always there. And I'm sure there's other things, but this is the kind of must-have ingredients. You really got to have the stuff to fix a flat, tighten a loose bolt, and get you down the road, and carry a master link again in case your chain breaks. So, all right, so there's your roadside emergency spares kit. Please subscribe to my channel, and we'll be back soon with more videos.